Hello and welcome to another review from Colour with Claire. Today I'm reviewing the Schpirerr Farben pencils. Now obviously I cannot say that correctly, so I'm just going to call them the SF pencils. But Farben translates from German into colour. No idea what that word means, but yeah, these have been absolutely everywhere, all over the colouring groups on Facebook. People are raving about them, so I just had to get my hands on a set to show you. Now before I carry on with my review, I have to make it really clear that these pencils are not currently available in the UK. Now obviously I have my set because they were sent to me especially to review for people who actually can get them at the moment. But I do know that the seller is working really hard with Amazon at the moment, trying to get them into the UK market. So if and when that does happen, I'll be updating the description with a link for you to buy these, and I'll also be hollering it all over social media so that you don't miss out. So at the moment, only available on Amazon US. I do believe that you can have them shipped from Amazon US to Australia and New Zealand. I don't know why they ship there and not to the UK, but I believe that that is an option, so do check that out if you are in that part of the world. So I'll just get on with the review and show you what they're all about. So these are the SF pencils. They come in a white cardboard box, and then that is opened to reveal this beautiful metal tin. So gorgeous tin. It has a really nice artsy sort of watercolour picture on it. They aren't watercolour pencils, they are just normal pigmented pencils. And we open the tin up. I've got long nails, this is really difficult. We open the tin up to reveal our pencils. Now there are 3 layers, and the top of this tin, just to show you quickly, features a little paragraph about Alfred Sisley, who was, I believe, a subject of an oil on canvas by Renoir. So that's just a little bit of detail there, makes it seem a bit professional and a bit artsy. So the pencils themselves. Now before I get into them, I've got to clear up a few myths about these pencils. Now, there are an awful lot of coloured pencils coming out at the moment which seem to be the exact same pencil branded under a different name, and that is something that people have been saying about these SF pencils, and it is not true. These are actually brand new pencils, completely different to anything else that's on the market. Now people were saying that they were actually Sargent Art pencils that have been rebranded. They're not. Sargent Art pencils are water soluble and they're wax based, whereas these are not water soluble and they're oil based. Also, people have been saying that the Marco Renoir are the same pencils. They're not. The Renoir are a little bit thinner in core, and they also have completely different shades to what you'll find in the SF set. Now, maybe the reason why people thought they were Renoirs is because they do behave very similarly on paper. So that's actually a really good thing, because there's currently 100 Marco Renoir pencils in the biggest set, and then you have 72 pencils here. Take away the white and the black, that's 170 different shades that you can play with that all work sort of really well together and similarly on the paper. So if you've got that 100 pack of Renoir and you buy this 72 pack of SF pencils, you've got a huge collection of different shades that all work really well together. So now that that's cleared up, let's get onto the pencils themselves. Now they do come pre-sharpened. I haven't sharpened them myself yet. I'll be doing that on camera so that we can see what they sharpen like. But for the most part, they do feel really strong and durable. They are oil-based, so they're most comparable to polychromos pencils rather than Prisma. But I find they're much softer than polychromos, so they're almost like an in-between. They have that durability and the ability to colour without breaking and crumbling, but they also have a nice soft buttery laydown as well. Not as soft as Prismacolor, definitely not, but still softer than polychromos. So the pencil itself has a gold barrel for the most part. We then have this silver strip just here, and then we have the colour dipped end. We have the SF name with a little crown and excellent. And then we have the colour number. So there are no names to these pencils, just numbers. That's printed in silver, sort of silver foil there. And that is basically the pencil. Now the core itself is 3.3 mil, so it's nice and thick, nice and strong. They're produced in China. And yeah, they do feel like really nice pencils. They're quite light in the hand, and I'll just show you the other colours. So here we have our yellows, pinks and reds. We then have our pinks into purples, blues, And on the last tier we have the greens, the earthy tones, greys and black. So the actual colour that these are dipped in don't always match the colour of the actual lead itself, so do please make a swatch chart before you colour, because a lot of these just don't correlate whatsoever to the colour. I don't know if you can tell on here, but that is quite a bright yellow, very bright yellow. And this here looks almost, well actually it's coming up green on the camera, it's coming up like a chartreuse, but in reality it's almost a yellow ochre. It's nowhere near as bright as that anyways. So you do need to swatch these. They're not going to be accurate just looking at them. Speaking of swatches, SF actually have their own website, they have social media. It's really good how, you know, they've got behind these pencils and set up a lot of social media and things for everyone. And you can print out on their website colour charts. Now you can print out the full colour one, or you can print out a blank one like I did and then colour it in yourself. And this is what all the pencils look like once they've been swatched out. So as you can see, an awful lot of yellows, and some of these yellows, particularly 16 and 15, look really similar to each other, and I feel that a couple of these could have been swapped out for perhaps some more browns, definitely some more greys, and maybe even also some lighter blues, because we do have quite a lot of darker blues in this set and only a couple of light blues. Also maybe a few more lighter greens, because this lightest green here doesn't really blend too well with any other green. It's just so bright, it's almost fluorescent. So hopefully there will be an expanded tin coming out. I think there will, because these numbers are really staggered and they've got a lot of gaps. They're not in order. So that tells me that hopefully they'll be releasing more in-betweeny colours, which will be fantastic. But obviously if you've got those Renoirs, you're great, you're good to go. So we have our yellows. We have a bunch of sort of skin tones here, which is really quite good, and then we have a few oranges and a few reds. Now there isn't a particularly true red. I would say the closest to true red would either be the 05 or the 01. The others are a little bit vermilion, you know, orangey red, and we have sort of a carmine red, but hopefully they'll be bringing out more colours to fit in there. So we have our purples, we've got our blue violets, we've got our red violets, and a couple of really deep burgundies as well. As I say, a lot of dark blues, a couple of them are really quite similar as well, and then we have a lot of sort of mossy earthy greens, sort of fir tree greens. Now as for the greys, there are 1, 2, 3 greys, possibly you would say this is green grey as well, and by the looks of it, they do look pretty warm greys as well. I don't think there's any cool greys there. To me, they look warm greys. So more greys really need to be added to this set. And again, more browns. We have some reddish browns here, sort of a brick red, and then a couple of oaky browns, but really could do with a few more to expand. But good, I suppose good for a, you know, a first set. A set of 72 isn't a lot anyway, and we do often find that we miss out some really key shades in these smaller sets. So that is the colours for you there. Now this was a real joy to colour when I was swatching this out. The pencils are beautiful on paper, and I'm going to show you that in real time in a moment. So let's get a couple of the pencils out and do a little bit of colour testing. So I'm going to get a piece of blank paper. There we go. I'm going to try and move these out of the way. Here we are. So let's try and do a bit of a blend and see how well they blend together. I'm going to go for an orange blend at first, I think. Let's look at my swatch chart. Let's try a 003. Let's find that, where are we? 003 and 078. So we have really quite a deep orange and quite a light orange there. That's more of a red, but it does show up orange. Let's try and do. So as I said, these are really quite similar to polychromos if you're used to using oil pencils, because they are oil based. But they're definitely not as hard as polychromos. They do seem much softer on application, which is really nice, because it did take me a good while to actually get used to polychromos. They do need a different hand and a different technique than a lot of other pencils, particularly wax-based pencils. and they did take a while to get used to. But it's nice to have a sort of in-between pencil that lays down nicely and buttery and smoothly like a Prismacolor, but also has that durability and sturdiness, and also no wax bloom like a Prismacolor. So it's sort of an in-between pencil if you're looking for something that's not quite as hard as polychromos but still has that really great saturation of colour and isn't going to break or crumble. So I'm just really lightly colouring a base layer on this teardrop shape. Pretty nice lay down straight away really. It's got beautiful rich pigment. You do not have to press hard whatsoever. I am barely touching the page. And we'll just do a few more layers to get it fully burnished. So that's great for people that don't like to use a lot of hard pressure, because you really don't need to with these pencils. And they layer up really, really well. A lot of cheap pencils or budget pencils don't have a lot of layers in them, to be honest. You max out really, really quickly. But these, you can sort of go over and over and over them. More of this light orange and try and burnish it all together now. So as you can see, we're flattening out the tooth in the paper. We're getting rid of most of the white specks of tooth that are left on the page. Everybody blends differently. You can of course use your blending materials like Gamsol, blending solution, Vaseline, blender pencils, Zest It, things like that. But I'm doing it purely with the pencils so that you can see what you can do with them if you haven't got any of all that extra kit. So there's barely any dust coming from these pencils whatsoever, which is fantastic because I get so much dust with my Prismacolors, and I always end up doing that with it, and it's smear, 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 and I have to get out with the eraser. You know how it is. So this is great that there's barely any dust coming from these, because usually when you have pencils that don't have a lot of dust, that's because they don't have a great amount of pigment and the colours aren't great. And they're not very rich or saturated, but these obviously are. So really nice formulation that these cores have been made up with. So I could probably go on a little bit longer just to make the blends a little bit more contrasted and richer. But as you can see, really quickly I've been able to make a lovely light to dark blend, excuse me, with just a couple of shades. So let me just check how that's coming out on camera, because it's coming out really nice to my eye. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It looks like there's more of a line here than there actually is to my eye. But hey ho. See if I can zoom in any. So hopefully you can see that looks a little bit better. Now let's try it with another couple of colours, because you know that could be a fluke. Anyway, let's just try it. So let's do a blue. So looking at my swatch chart, I'm going to go for an 075, 075 and an 030. Where are you, 030? There we are. So again, two quite different blues. That's really quite a light blue compared to that one. So we'll see how they blend together. Now usually you'd be using maybe 3 or more colours to get a blend from quite a light blue to a dark blue, but let's see if we can do this in 2. So same again, I'm going to do another teardrop shade, because why not? I usually start it with the lightest colour. Again, barely using any pressure whatsoever. I'm hardly touching the paper. What I want to do is get a nice flat light layer down just as our base layer. So these pencils, being brand new, don't yet have a light fast rating, and I'm not sure if that's something that the seller is going to be looking into or not. So at the moment, no light fast rating. These are not expensive pencils though, as I'll be showing you in a moment. The price and the value is incredible. So really, if you are a professional artist looking for super light fast pencils, you probably wouldn't find them at this price point anyway. So we're adding in our darker blue now. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have these pencils, or if you really want to get them, or what you think of them. I always love to read your comments. I read absolutely every single one, and I do try to always put a like and a heart on it if I can't reply. So do talk to me. So we're going with our second layer of the light blue. So if you are a massive Polychromos fan, but you want a backup set that you don't have to, you know, you don't have to crack your Polychromos out all the time, because they're obviously your beauties and your babies and they're expensive, and you don't want to use them on every single picture that you colour, but you do want the same effect, I would buy this set as a backup to use when you want to have that Polychromos look and feel, but you don't want to use up your expensive pencils too fast. I'll go in with, I think, our third and final layer of the light blue, just to burnish it all out. Very, very minimal dust, which I'm loving. And we'll see how well these erase in a moment as well, because oil-based pencils often erase a lot easier than wax ones. I don't know if you've ever tried to erase something that you've done with Prismacolors, but it can be quite difficult, whereas polys are a lot easier. So I think we've come up to burnishing that now completely. And I'm going to call that done. How are we looking on there? Yeah, pretty good. So for a 2 pencil blend from a really light to a really dark shade, I don't think that is bad at all. And it didn't take me long, as you could see. So I'm super, super pleased with how these perform. Now let's check out how they erase. So I have my trusty Derwent battery eraser, and I'm going to see how these go through. So loads of pigment lifted there from the eraser, maybe about 90–95% maybe. So really good erasing capabilities as well. Let's just do the orange one for laughs. There we go. So really good to erase. They're not, you know, they're not going to erase to nothing. No coloured pencil ever does, apart from if you buy the Prismacolor Colour Erase, which actually do. But for the most part, yeah, they've performed really well on erasing. I'm happy with that. Let's try and sharpen some of them and see what they do when they're sharpened. Hopefully they won't have any broken cores or leads. Let's find one that's quite far down that I've been using. So this one has a pretty short tip. I've got my trusty metal sharpener. I don't use any fancy sharpeners. I used to use this T-Gal sharpener with the adjustable point wheel, but oh, there's loads of sharpenings coming out. But after quite a short time, I found that the blades dulled a lot and it just stopped sharpening. So I got this actually from my son's school pencil case. Don't worry, he's got another one. And it's the best sharpener I've found that works to sharpen the pencil really well, and also keep that wood nice and smooth, which is what we like. So here it's sharpened up to a pretty decent point, and we're just going to colour a little bit with it, just do a few scribbles. Quite hard, feels really nice and durable, doesn't feel shaky or unstable in the core, in the barrel, sorry, and it's holding that point really, really nicely. So let's just try a couple more just so we haven't got any flukes. What else needs sharpening? We have another orange one that needs sharpening, and then I'll get a different colour just in case, because I know that certain pigments, I think greens, crumble quite easily. I don't know why. So we have beautiful point here on this orange. Colouring quite hard with it now. No breakages or fragility whatsoever. So that's lovely. And as I say, let's give a green a go. Let's go with this one, needs sharpening, I think. There we are, lovely long point on that one there. And let's give it a go. Beautiful. Lovely smooth coverage as well. You see how it's not skipping any areas, or, you know, looking, because some pencils are scratchy, aren't they? And sometimes a lump of pigment sort of gets stuck in the core, you know, where it sort of goes really dark. But that doesn't seem to be happening on these pencils at all. Lovely smooth coverage. Very strong. No breakages, nothing whatsoever. Really pleased with these pencils, honestly, couldn't be more pleased. For the price, which is what I'm going to reveal now. So, how much would you think that 72 pencils of this quality, of this pigment, and, you know, of this nice lay down on the paper that have a beautiful oil core, how much do you think that they would cost? Polychromos are for a 72 set. I'm not sure how much they cost, maybe about £80, something like that. So maybe let's half that because they're not polychromos. So let's half that and say £40. No, they're not £40. They are $26 for this whole set of 72 pencils. $26. That is an absolutely incredible price. It's a bargain, and if you do live in the US, you're so very lucky to just be able to nip onto Amazon now and have these delivered to you probably tomorrow. And if you're in the UK, I'm so sorry that you can't get these at the moment, because they are absolutely beautiful. And again, if I do hear that they are coming to the UK, I'll be shouting it from the rooftops over all of my social media. Now, I'm just thinking for a second if there's anything else I have to tell you about these pencils. I've done sharpening, I've done erasing, I've done blending, I've done burnishing. I've told you about the pencils. Did I say that they were a 3.3mm core? I think I did. I've shown you all the colour swatches. If there's anything else in the comments that you want to ask me that I've left out, please ask, and I'll get my I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So I really hope you've enjoyed looking at these SF pencils. Still can't say that word. And let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel, please. I really want to bump my subscribers up, and also don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. And not a lot of people know what that actually does. I didn't, but when you click the like button, it actually makes it it bumps it up in YouTube's videos. So people who are just browsing at colouring stuff, if you like my video a lot, that will sort of bump it up to the top of the list of things what people might find. So it allows people to find my videos easier, is my long rambling way of saying that. So really hope you've enjoyed the pencils. Do let me know, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.